Hey guys, and welcome back to another Surgical Tech Tips. Today's video, I really wanted to go over emergency surgery, and specifically getting called in from home and having to come in for an emergency surgery. In light of certain events that happened very recently in Las Vegas, I've been wanting to make this type of video out there just for those techs out there that are you know maybe new to the field, or students out there, just to get you guys an idea of what it's going to be like to get called in. Now obviously the first part of getting called in is going to start with your phone. You're going to get that dreadful call from work. You're going to answer that phone, and it's either going to be an operator or it's going to be a charge nurse at the desk if they're still there at the desk at that time. They will usually break down who the doctor is and what the surgery is going to be, and they're telling you to tell you that you need to come in right away. Now at my hospital we have a 45-minute time to get to the hospital. As soon as we're called, that timer starts. So as soon as that operator or that charge nurse calls, they write down that time, and that coincides with what time I clock in once I get to work. So I have 45 minutes to get to work. There's a lot of other hospitals that are as low as 30 minutes for travel time. It just depends on the hospital, and it may be different for wherever you are. Now after that phone call, there's 3 things that you need to do in your house before you leave. Number 1, put some deodorant on. You don't know how long you're going to be there at the hospital doing this surgery. You could be there all night and all day the next day. It takes a second to put some deodorant on, so just go ahead and put it on before you leave the house. Number 2 and 3, grab a protein bar and a bottle of water. You can drink those and eat those in the car as you're driving into work, because again, you don't know how long you're going to be there. So get your body a little nutrition. It'll kind of wake you up a little bit too, getting that food in your body, so when you get there you're revved up and ready to go. Now after you leave your house and you're driving into work, number 1, do not speed. You're not going to be of any help to anybody if you get pulled over by a cop. And whether or not, I've heard stories of people speeding into work and the cop lets them go, that's still time wasted, that a cop has to pull you over and check your stuff. Okay? There's no reason for you to be speeding into work, because it's not going to do anybody any good. Now, another important note, when you're driving in, you should be constantly thinking over the surgery at hand that's going to be going on. You already know who the doctor is, and you already know what the surgery is, this emergency surgery that you're going to be doing. So you should be going over the steps of the surgery in your head. Also maybe what sutures you might need to pull once you get to work, and what type of draping, or how he does his draping, stuff like that. You should really be going over the steps of the surgery as you're driving in. Now once you arrive at the hospital, depending on the hospital you work at, my hospital, we have somebody here on staff for 24 hours a day. So there's usually a staff member here, and if we're called in for an emergency surgery, they're available to actually pick a case cart for us and maybe even start opening up our room for us. It's really beneficial, and it's super nice. It wasn't always like that. We've become a lot busier of a hospital now, and we're able to afford that type of help now, but not all hospitals will have that. So if you're a smaller hospital and you're driving into work, nobody's going to be there to pick your case. So one of the first things you're going to have to do is get into the computer system and print out a preference card for your doctor and the surgery that's going to be going on. That will give you, obviously, your list of everything you're going to need for the case at hand. Go through, the sterile supply. I'm actually back here in sterile supply right now, so you're going to be going through this room and picking your case cart and grabbing everything you think you need and you think you may need, and going over to your room as quickly as possible to start opening up. Now another thing that my hospital does, which is something recently that we adopted, was we have 4 case carts that are strictly for emergencies. We have like a general emergency cart, we have like a heart emergency cart, a vascular cart, there's a neuro cart or an ortho cart. Those are all basically emergency carts that are on hold at all times. So in the event that you come here and nobody's available to pick your case, you can just boom, go right over and grab, a general emergency cart. And that general emergency cart pretty much has everything you're going to need for any type of, dead bowel type case, any type of open, general emergent case. Now, when it comes to opening and setting up your room, I've got to say, once you get into your room, your nurse is there. They're focused on setting up the positioning stuff and getting the table ready and getting all the drugs they need. And you're solely focused on opening up your sterile field and setting up that sterile field as quickly and efficiently as possible. Everybody that enters that emergent OR, they kind of just go on autopilot mode. It's really weird to say. It's weird to say that, and it's weird to think that. But that's the only description I can give it. You're there, and you know what you need to do, and you do it as quickly as possible. If you're able to set up your case in time before the patient enters the room, great. You can scrub out, you can help your nurse go get the patient from the ICU or the ER or wherever they're coming from. That would be great. A lot of the times that doesn't happen though. I do a lot of vascular and a lot of hearts, so at times, we're in the middle of setting up a case and we have like 4 ICU nurses wheeling a patient into our OR, pumping on a chest, keeping that patient alive. It can be super, super chaotic. So it's just important to focus on what you need to do at that moment and don't let the external things that come into the room affect that. Those people that come into that room are there to keep that patient alive, and your sole focus is the surgery at hand to help fix the problem, okay? So you need to focus on what you need to set up. If you are not done setting up and the patient is in the room, keep your focus on your field.
Wake up! I need you to be focused.
Absolutely keep your focus on your field, unless they're specifically asking you to scrub out and give them a hand. But I'm telling you right now, there's usually in those circumstances, there's like 6 or 7 people in the room. They don't need you to scrub out. You need to focus on your task at hand. Now, once it's time for that surgery to start, anesthesia says they're ready to go. The nurse preps the patient. The surgeon and yourself are draping the patient, and the nurse is, doing the timeout. It really becomes like a total whirlwind in there. But again, it comes back to everybody's kind of on autopilot mode. Everybody knows what they need to do, and everyone is just like totally zoned in on the task at hand and what they need to do at that moment. So it's really amazing how everything just it's like a dance. Everybody just, I say it's a whirlwind and I say it's chaotic, but it probably looks like that from the outside. I mean, I know it does, but it's really not, and it really becomes like a dance of you meshing with your surgeon and throwing off a Bovian suction immediately after you're done draping and after the timeout's done, and he's got the knife in hand and they're opening up the patient. I mean, a knife, Bovie, and suction, you can do 80% of the surgery with those 3 items. Make sure you have plenty of laps available, stuff like that. But seriously, a knife, Bovie, suction, those 3 things you can do a lot with. So having those off the field and ready to go as soon as possible when you start that emergent surgery, you're good. You're golden. Now, as the surgery goes on, once you get to that point where you've stopped the bleeding, or you've found the perforated bowel or whatever it may be, everyone can kind of take a breath finally, and it's like a sigh of relief. It really is. Once you hit that point in the emergent surgery that everything's going to be okay. It's great. It really is. And it's even better when the patients recover well and go on to live their lives fully. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I always appreciate the likes and shares and all the new subscribers and everybody, you know, coming in here to gain some medical knowledge. And I'm really thankful for all of you guys out there that enjoy watching this content. It means a lot to me, as I know it means a lot to you that I make these videos. So I'll see you again.